A power older than time has returned. Free from their imprisonment, ancient wizard kings come, seeking lost magics and new realms to conquer, turning all whom they encounter, by choice or by force.
Having played my fair share of RTS and 4X strategy games, I've decided I probably wouldn't make a very good ruler. I only have two modes: either I'm so indecisive I can't decide what to have for breakfast, or I'm blitz in the neighbouring country before my Cocoa Pops have turned the milk brown. Age of Wonders 4 has done nothing to dull my clumsy bloodlust either. Conquest is always a path to victory in the Age of series, and it always seems like it'll be the easiest one. Why bother building up diplomatic relations, or questing for some magical MacGuffin, or attempting to reach the peak of civilization when you can just mash the next country over into the ground and jog on? Unfortunately, it never seems to work out that way. I'm always caught up following the tooltips and pissing my money away on foot soldiers when the enemy nation next door comes through my green and verdant lands like a busload of Man City fans through a kebab shop. And so I struggle. And struggle I probably should, because these games aren't really designed for the kind of mindless brute force that usually carries me through a game. Age of Wonders 4 is a return to the fantastical side of the series. After the last one, Planetfall was an exceptional sci-fi romp that let us live out our fantasies of galactic conquest and being a dashing intergalactic general. Age of Wonders 4 heads back to grassroots fantasy. No spaceships, no laser guns, no macking on hot aliens. Instead, we're commanding armies of orcs and mages and monsters across a variety of otherworldly terrain. I loved Planetfall, mostly because it allowed me to create my own leader and faction rather than having to command some real-world historical nation. Age of Wonders 4 does the same. While there's around a dozen pre-made leaders and fantasy races, you can also make your own from scratch. You not only get to forge your unique leader, including their appearance, name and backstory, but you can generate the race that follows them too. You determine what their army looks like, what they worship and what kind of people they are, whether industrious, spiritual or just busting for a fight all the time. The gameplay itself doesn't change greatly from ruler to ruler, even if you create your own, but there are enough differences that multiple playthroughs will occasionally throw up surprises. Of course, a custom ruler feels more personal, so when you overreach or make a tactical error that causes your budding empire to collapse faster than a house made of paper on a windy day, it's slightly heartbreaking. This happened to me more than once. What Age of Wonders 4 is good at, though, is making you understand its intricacies. There's a lot to deal with here, from resource management to hero management, from governing your city to diplomacy, from expanding your empire to exploring the land for treasure and secrets. You'll select a tome of magic to begin with from a surprisingly huge list, which determines which spells you can research. These spells could be to heal your armies or summon units to add to your armies. Perhaps they can be cast to reveal the map or strengthen your soldiers with elemental damage. Some are to be used by your heroes when you're already engaged in combat. As you progress, you'll be asked to choose new tomes, each one offering vastly different spells. Some focus on elements like fire and ice, others poison and entropy, healing, evocation, fulmination, summoning. There are loads to unlock and they offer a ridiculous variety of spells and abilities. Add to this the Empire Development System, which is essentially a skill tree for your entire kingdom, and you can see just how deep it can all go, and that's only the beginning. Age of Wonders 4 is dense, yes, but it rarely feels oppressive like many games of its type. Because you can tweak the difficulty to an insane degree, you could simply play alone to build up your empire at your own leisure. Multiple victory conditions allow for a bunch of different ways to prioritise your progress, or if you really want to know suffering, you can play against other people. The primary game remains the same in multiplayer, you're just up against a much meaner and more ruthless enemy. The type of land you choose to colonise can also be decided by you. You can build your realm from a heap of archetypes and tweak everything from the weather to the wildlife, adding elements that further dictate the way the game goes, such as adding dragons, roaming mystic spirits, living plant life or megafauna. I'm not sure there has ever been a strategy game like this that offers such an incredible level of player control. Being able to modify and equip your heroes down to their weapons, skills, gear, even what kind of mount they ride, adds to the sense of personal pride that runs through all of it. Day to day, you're running a nation. You need to keep your people happy and fed, you need to protect them with standing armies, but you also need to explore, complete quests out in the world and practice diplomacy with a host of very different allies and enemies, all of whom have their own ups and downs. And these sods like nothing more than dragging you into their petty squabbles. You'll be bombarded with requests for aid, trade or protection, treaties and allegiances. Sometimes they'll declare war on you for no good reason beyond the cut of your jib and their opinion thereof, which of course leads to combat. Each army can contain 6 units, but they can be any combination imaginable. Ideally, you'll want a mix of melee and ranged units with a shock unit and a hero, including your own player character. Combat is real-time strategy, as usual in this series, that will place you on a field of battle and task you with routing the enemy. Each army has a score, and multiple armies in adjacent map grids can combine these scores. Based on this, you can choose to auto-resolve battles if you want to, though anything above low risk should be dealt with manually. Sometimes careful and canny play can turn the tide of an unwinnable encounter. Sometimes I find the combat just naturally skewed against the player, but not so much that it makes it feel unfair. Also, regardless of the numbers on screen, it's usually over fairly quickly. That said, I still use auto-resolve where possible because combat just isn't the most interesting part of Age of Wonders 4. It's everything else that really makes it come alive. I did encounter a game-breaking bug during my playthrough which may well be patched at launch, but which I feel I should mention. In my first 2 attempts as a custom leader, I hit a bug at day 20 where the enemy turn just wouldn't end. I tried reloading old saves, quitting to desktop, I even went to war in my turn to try to make a difference, and I just couldn't progress. My subsequent runs never had the issue though, so hopefully it was just a weird glitch. That aside, Age of Wonders 4 is great fun, being able to modify the difficulty and parameters to suit your needs, and the added bonus of being able to create your own fantasy race, ruler and realm from scratch make it a true standout in the fantasy RTS market. It doesn't have quite the razzle-dazzle of Age of Wonders Planetfall, but that's very much a personal preference. Fans of the series and the genre won't be disappointed with Triumph's latest offering, and even newcomers will find an accessible, compelling city building experience in Age of Wonders 4, and for that reason I'm going to score it an 8.5 out of 10. Hi there, thanks for checking out our review of Age of Wonders 4. If you liked it, please hit like and subscribe. Maybe tag the bell icon too so you're kept up to date with everything we post going forward. And if you want to support us via our Patreon, you go ahead and do that. We appreciate everything that you guys do for us. In the meantime, I've been McFraser for God is a Geek. That was a review of Age of Wonders 4, and you guys have been lovely. Bye.